This
node
conference
and
will now be recorded.
Yeah,
yeah,
please go ahead,
we'll
Richard.
save yeah, we'll save the data only in the memory, whereas persist, if the data is bigger in the RD, then it will save the data in cache data in memory, as well as it will save it on disk as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it has six storage levels. Persist has six storage levels to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are the storage levels?
Memory only, memory and disk,
Mm-hmm.
disk only, memory serialization,
Memory
memory and
disk
disk
serialization, memory disk 2, so it will have replication of every cache to do.
Okay, good.
And these are fault tolerant as well, so they store the tag information as well.
Okay, okay. So, mm, so try to remember your cache and persist will keep the lineage graph in case of anything happen, any issue happen with it, with the help of the lineage graph, it will reconstruct. Okay, but when it comes to checkpoint, which we are going to discuss in few minutes, it will not store the lineage graph. Okay, okay, let's take an example, a quick example. I'll take this one, word count program itself. Okay, let me do persist first, then I'll do number one. Until I call action, it will not be allocated. You can see here, it has been used this much. Okay, and if you see, to debug string,
If I'm not able to see your screen,
is my screen is not visible?
more again.
One second. Then I was typing and executing it. Okay, it was hidden. Okay, got it. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. I have loaded the text file. I did the flat map. I did the map. I did the reduce by key, and I did the persist. Then I call an action. When I call an action, so there is something called the memory has been allocated for it. It means that whatever the data is there, it is loaded into your memory. All right. Next, when I do the to debug string, when I do the to debug string, you can see that the lineage graph loaded. Then you can see here. Here it is showing a memory deserialized and one replica. Okay. You can see a text file, and you can see that. So all the information is there in the memory. The shuffled RDD is there in the memory. Map partitions is there in the memory. Look at here. All this information has been stored into the memory. Okay. Same thing with the cache also. If I do cache, same thing with the cache also, it will store the information. Let me show you that. Okay. Persist, if you don't pass any storage level, by default it is stored into memory only. Okay. So what I'm trying to show you here, whatever when you do a persist or a cache, it will keep that lineage graph information, into the memory. In case of any failure happen, it will reconstruct. That's what even we read yesterday. That's what we read yesterday from the document. And there is something called checkpoint. There is something called checkpoint. For the checkpoint, what will happen here? Checkpointing also similar kind of concept where we need to specify the checkpointing directory first. So the checkpoint stores a binary file within the checkpointing directory. Whichever the directory will specify, it will store that RDD information. The RDDs, whatever the RDD we are doing the checkpoint, that information is stored in the binary file. Okay, and here the important difference between checkpoint, cache, and persist is checkpoint will not store any lineage graph information. Okay, if it does not store any lineage graph information, in case of any failure happen, it cannot reconstruct. It cannot construct. Let's see an example. Let's see an example. Let me check, like, can I use a direct same? Okay, try this. Let me see whether such checkpointing is there or not. There is no checkpoint. As of now, we have not done the checkpoint. So let's set the checkpoint. You need to set the checkpointing directory for your Spark context. Checkpointing directory. You need to specify file colon // I'll just create one. Okay, I have set the checkpointing directory. Now let me do unpersist for this. I did the unpersist. You can go here in the screen, I mean in the UI. Why it is still, I did the unpersist, right?
Is it the same RTT we are doing?
Count words only. Count words only. Unpersist. Why it is not working? I'll check this. I think am I missing something, or I'll check it. Why it is. Okay. What I want to. Let me see. I'm launching freshly. Because when I launch freshly, it will create a new job, new application. It creates a new application. I'm setting the checkpointing directory. Okay. This directory is available. Okay. Here now it's in memory. It is not there, right? Don't have anything in the memory. Okay. Let's move to here. I'm doing cache, and again I'm testing it. Let me check. Because when I do unpersist, it should remove the data. Okay. Look at here, guys. When I do the unpersist, the data has been removed. Okay. When I do the cache, it load the data. When I do the unpersist, it has been removed the data. Okay. Yeah, this is actual behavior actually. So this was actual behavior. I don't know why it was not. Okay. Let me show you it again. Um, persist and unpersist. It should clear the screen. No, that's an expected behavior from here, from cache and persist. I did with the cache. Okay. Let me do with the persist. Then let's do this. So persist. Collect. Let's go and see in the memory. So in the memory it is occupied. Let's do unpersist. See, I don't know what happened earlier. Look at here, cache and persist. When I do the unpersist, the data is getting deleted. So unpersist is the one which will help to clear the cached data. Any questions so far? Any questions?
So here in the fraction column, we see 100% cache, right? So is there any possibility that like half of the portion got cached or like that? Any situation?
Yes, when I have more data, when I do the cache or persist, if the data is not enough into the storage memory, and I have told you right earlier, the Spark will have four categories of the memory: reserved memory, user memory. If anyone wants to make it, please make a note. Anyway, I'll discuss a separate session for that. There is something called user memory, reserved memory, storage memory, execution memory. Storage and execution memory always like 1:1. Let's say if you have your memory is a 10 GB, 5 GB for storage, 5 GB for execution. While executing, the 5 GB is not enough for it. It can go and borrow from the, it's not borrow, it will expand its memory even in storage memory. Even storage memory is full the time. The storage memory, what it does, it will spill out some unused data, not frequently using data, LRU, least recently used. It will spill some amount of the data into disk, then it will give some free space to execution memory. Similarly, when you are storing some amount of data, if the execution memory is free, then your storage memory will go and borrow from execution memory. So that time you will see that fraction is changing. That time the fraction will, you'll see it is getting changed.
Okay.
Okay, ma?
And one more thing, so can we use cache and persist in the same program?
Why to use cache and persist same program? You tell me this case.
No, like first I do persist and then I do some action like count. So
Hmm.
till that part only it will save into memory. So
Correct.
after that, yeah, after that again I have performed some more transformations
Hmm.
and action. So
Hmm.
in the last again I want to cache or persist. So like
Hmm.
does it work or
Yeah, it will work. It will work. But the uh, recommended one is only once you do the persist or cache in the last RDD from where you will be calling multiple actions. You can do that.
okay, okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Okay. So now I have shown that cache and persist, unpersist and all. So it will clearly cleaning the data, right? Let's move on and check the checkpointing directory. I have already set it the checkpointing directory. This is my checkpointing directory. Okay. Okay. This is the checkpointing directory. Okay. Now on same counts only, I'll be doing checkpoint. Okay. I'm doing checkpoint. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me do a two debug string on this and we'll understand. Look at here. It does not store any lineage graph. Okay, let me do one thing. Call action and show you. I called an action. You can see this. It doesn't contain the lineage graph. If you, I have shown earlier in the earlier example where it was having a lineage graph. So your checkpointing directory will not store lineage graph. Is this clear?
Ravi, what is the use of this checkpoint directory? Because already we have persisted different storage levels.
Checkpointing directory, actually it will be used in streaming. The main purpose of this streaming. Checkpointing is it's like cache and persist only. But what will happen is the cache and persist will store the lineage information. Okay. In case of any failure happen, it can reconstruct it. But checkpointing directory, it will not. And checkpointing directory, we will give always HDFS directory. HDFS directory. And that directory should be available with every executor. Every node, not executor, I can say every node. Okay. So what happens in checkpointing, in case of any failure happen, it will again recompute everything. And also one more important point, when you do the cache and persist, it will do one computation like this and store the information. It will do the one computation, it will go to the compute method and all, right? Whatever we have discussed in the last session. So it will, once the computation is done, it will store into the memory. But checkpointing directory is not like that. It will do the again one more computation. It will go again one more computation for to store the information.
If it is doing recomputation, then what is the use of it?
No, see, checkpointing directly does the computation twice. One is for the action, one is for the checkpoint. Only two times. The third time, if you do the action and all, okay, let me put it this way. I called a collect here. Okay, I called a collect here. So we know that one time it will compute it, it will get the data, it will store into the cache. That's what we discussed, right? So it's only one time the computation is happening for returning the results as well as storing the information. Both are happening. It will return the data and also it will store the information in cache. Correct? That's what we have seen with the persist and cache. But checkpoint, when you do the checkpoint, what will happen? It will first do the computation. It will return the results. Internally, again it will do one more computation to store that information into the checkpoint directory. Next time, when you do the another action, like a save as text file, it will not do the recomputation, it will get from the checkpointing directory. Okay, the advantage what we get, the data will store into the disk, but persist with the disk only also will do the same. The checkpointing directory mainly used in streaming, as per my understanding, my experience, I have seen the checkpointing directory used in the streaming. What will happen there? When you're doing a streaming, there are some RDDs will not be processed. So they due to some failure or due to some what I can say skip whatever the messages are missed, that information that RDDs will store into the checkpointing directory. And when you initialize the job, when you start the new job, either the next time or the failed restart, first it will go and check in the checkpointing directory, checking that is there any data in the checkpointing directory. If it is there in any data in the checkpointing directory, it will process first, then it will go for the other thing. That's what the checkpointing directory does, as per my knowledge. Okay, if something I find about the checkpointing directory, what I'll do, I'll get it. I'll bring to your notice. So the major difference is between persist, cache, and checkpoint. Persist and cache will store the data as well as the lineage graph. Checkpointing directory will not store the lineage graph. Cache and persist will do the computation only once. That time only it will return the data as well as it will store the information in the memory. I mean memory or disk or wherever it is. But checkpointing directory, it will do the 2 times computation. It will do the 2 times computation. So it will do the another computation to store the information in the checkpointing directory. Okay. So in case of if you want to make use to avoid the recomputation, the strongly recommended way is either use a persist or cache in case of normal RDDs or this thing. Okay. So any question?
Here we mentioned one path, right? Can we directory? Can we go and see what is there inside?
These are partitions. Nothing is stored, just create a checkpoint on it. We called a I think we called action already. It's not. Nothing is stored. Nothing is stored. Just created that information. It created some numbers. I'm not really sure. And also one more doubt is that since it is a local, it should be non-local. Normally it should be HDFS or something. Maybe I have given the local file system. Maybe that might be the reason also. Okay. So any questions? Very simple, guys. Your checkpointing will not store the lineage graph. Okay. So any questions here? Let me jump into the next. We have left some of the transformations and most important transformations like broadcast, accumulator. There are a few things. Any questions? And also try to remember when you do the checkpointing, it will do the double computation. Double computation. Okay, that's another important thing.
Only one question. In case of cache, like how we can know the data size? Suppose is there any limit like 10 GB only we can do the cache, or probably 18 GB, something like that?
Like no, man, like that it is nothing is like that.
Okay.
See, you will be knowing your cluster details, right? You'll be knowing how much memory you have.
Yeah.
Right. We'll be knowing that what is the total so our memory we have allocated for our job, number of cores and other stuff we will be knowing, So when you do the computation, obviously we'll be knowing that whether the data is enough into fit in the memory or not. So if you feel that it's not enough into fit into the memory, we'll go with the persist with the disk, persist with the disk and memory. It's a different operation. Okay.
Ravi, I have one query here. For streaming, why we are preferably using checkpoint instead of persist? Because it is double computation is happening, right, in the checkpoints, right? So is it?
Yeah, I got your point. You're asking like why we will do the checkpointing. So
yes, sir.
The streaming checkpointing is something like, as I explained earlier, when you start your job, there is something called Spark streaming context. Normally, how we have a Spark context, how we have a Spark session. Similarly, you have something called Spark streaming context. What this Spark streaming context does, before it go and start read the data from the Kafka topic or from the messaging services. First, it will go and check, is there any checkpointing directory? If the checkpointing directory is there any data which is unprocessed data is there in the checkpointing directory? Then it will go ahead and process that first. Then it will go and continue the other process. So first, the Spark Streaming context, the first job is to go and check in the checkpointing directory. If any unprocessed RDDs are there, it will process it. It is not the case with the cache and persist.
Okay.
Okay, that is the reason.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let me see.
So here, if the RDD is big, do we have any like out of memory exceptions like that in checkpoint?
You tell me, Ma, where the checkpointing is storing?
In HDFS directory.
So will you be having out of memory exception in that?
No, I'm not aware of HDFS and all, so
No, not
I'm just.
HDFS. Very simple. It is a directory in a disk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So out of memory exception will get from the RAM, not from the disk. Correct?
Okay. No, I mean to say here, if the RDD is big, then we can use persist, right? So some portion of the RDD will be written onto memory, and the remaining will be written onto disk, right? So
That is depends on the storage level you pass.
yeah.
Not by default, everything will try to fit into the memory.
Okay.
In case you are given your storage level, memory and the disk or disk only, you will pass your storage levels. I have shown yesterday, right? If you give that,
Mm-hmm.
it will store into memory and the disk. In that case, you will not get out of memory exception, no, because it is storing some part there. The rest all it is. Yesterday I have shown the UI. So
Yeah.
200 only 20 KB or something. It is 20 KB or something. It is stored in the memory. Rest all will stored into the disk. So
Yeah, I understood that, Ravi. I want to compare that point with checkpoint.
how will you compare, Ma? That is, it's also using memory. Okay, you are saying that persist disk only and the checkpoint.
Only directory, right?
You want to check persist disk only and the checkpoint.
Yeah.
There also use difference is there, no? The persist disk only, what it does, it stores the lineage graph information, right? Where the
Mm-hmm.
where the cache will not have that lineage graph information, right? Where the checkpointing will not have the information. Your persist or cache will maintain the lineage graph. Very simple. Checkpoint will not maintain. You cannot compare. You cannot say equal. Both are equal. No, they are not equal.
Okay.
But yeah, to look like a checkpoint and persist disk only. Persist
Okay.
disk only. Looks the
Okay.
same, but not same.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Clear?
Yeah, clear. And here we got two partitions or empty files, right? So if we save the checkpoint on HDFS path, so then we can be
We
able
will.
to see data.
Yes. Yes. So that's what
Okay.
I'm about to
Okay.
show you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did the checkpoint. Let me do that checkpoint file. No, it is not storing in the local file. I'm really not sure why. Checkpointing already there. No, it is not showing. So if it stores that file, right, instead of none, it will show the path here. It will show some path. So if it is anyone is launched on HDFS, anyone is launched on HDFS, you can see that. Okay, instead of none, it will give some, SOME, some. I have explained the data type sum and none. So with that data type, sum and none, sum of the file path will be there. Sum of some file path will be there. Okay. Yeah, quickly let me do a couple of transformations, which is something like zip. Zip is very simple, guys. Okay, zip is the name itself is saying no. It joins the two RDDs. It will zip them. Okay, so let me show you a simple example here. Val RDD A equal to SC dot parallelize. I can say here 100. I have given 3 partitions. RDD A created, RDD B send SC dot parallelize. I can say 101, 2, 200. Same 3 partitions I'm giving. Okay, now when I do RDD A dot zip of RDD B, just do that collect. What it does, it is zipped. Don't say it is a Cartesian. It is not a Cartesian. Cartesian is something different. It is just a clubbed. First element in the RDD1, first element in the RDD2, clubbed. Second element in the RDD1, second element in the RDD2, clubbed. So like that it has created. It is not Cartesian. Don't get confused with the Cartesian. Cartesian is something different. It's a product. One in 1, 101, 1, 102, 1, 103, like that it will come.
Ravi, we did a similar transformation in Scala, etc.
Yeah, they're all Scala things only.
Yeah, but its name was zip or something else.
Sorry,
Its name, the name of the method that we
sorry,
did
I
in
didn't.
Scala. So we did a similar example in Scala.
Scala also will
Some
do the
similar.
same, right? Here also you can do the Scala. Let me do.
It is a Scala prompt only.
Hmm. Not Scala prompt. I'm doing, look at here. Same, right? 1, 6, 2, 7. First element from the list 1, first element in the list 2, second element in the list 1, second element in the list 2. Both are same. This is a higher order function from what I can say, um, same Scala.
So what we have lists with the different sizes. So here we have same length, right, for list L1 and L2.
Hmm. This is what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Whatever matches with the first one, those many only it will take. Rest will be ignored.
Okay.
Ravi, do we need to give the same number of partitions for both the RDDs?
If it is the same number of partitions, it will be easy to what I can say, join. Otherwise, the data has to be shuffled. You can do that as well. No? Just let me show you. That will be 3 partitions. This will be 2 partitions. Unequal number of partitions, but should be same. Good point. Should be same, Venkat.
Thanks, Ravi.
Okay. Similarly, we not only 2 sets, you can do multiple sets. 2 sets, 3 sets, you can do with the multiple sets. But how it will work with the multiple sets? Let's look at that. We have RDD1, RDD2, I mean RDDA, RDDB. Let's say RDDC. Okay. SC dot parallelize. Okay. I have three RDDs. Okay. Can anyone guess what will happen if I do this? Look at here. If you see 101 became one element. If you closely observe, 1 and 101 actually considered one element. It is, see what it does, first it computed RDDA, RDDB. When it compute RDD, RDDB, what will happen? 1, 101, 2, 102, 3, 103, like that it will come. Then it zip with the third element. So if you are actually looking for 3 different elements in the set, I mean one group, normally we'll call it as a tuple. Okay, here tuple we have 2 elements and other element is separately. So if you want 3 elements has to be in a single tuple. You can see the data type also guys here. These 2 will be considered as a one element. This is another element. If you are looking for 3 individual elements in one tuple, actually it is triple, in one triple. So we have to apply the one transformation. Instead of collect directly, we'll do map transformation. Okay. In this map transformation, what we have to do, we will take element. When we take element, all this complete part will come. Here, element dot underscore 1. When I say underscore 1, this piece. When I say underscore 2, this piece. I mean here, this piece. So I took the underscore 1. But in underscore 1, what I need? Again another piece. First element, this element. I want 1, comma, yearly dot underscore 2 dot 1 dot underscore 2. This is yearly dot underscore 1 in that first element, in that second element, comma, yearly dot underscore 2. Like that we have to do. Let me make it one group. This is one group. Now, if you do the collect, whatever you were expected, it will come. Is this clear? Any questions? Is this clear?
Yeah, Ravi.
Okay, so there are some more zip with index. Try you guys can try zip with index and zip partitions. There are a few more transformations. You guys try that. If not, I will try in the next session. I'll show broadcast and accumulator also. I'll try to complete in the next session. With that, we have completed RDDs with all the explanation. Most of the explanations we have covered. Most of the transformations we have covered. And day after tomorrow, I'll be expanding about. So far, we have seen executing in the console or executing the program. Here it is like for each or collect like that we did. But we have not done the Spark submit, right? There is a most important thing it is. Because what are the parameters needs to pass to the Spark submit and what is the deployment mode? There are two deployment, client mode and cluster mode. What is the difference between them? Okay, how the what I can say the Spark submit will work. Those things we will be covering right after completing our broadcast and accumulators. Then we will be moving to Spark SQL. If you are completely aware the concepts in Spark like a broadcast accumulators, what is the difference between the cluster mode and client mode? That's called deploy mode. And once you understand the transformation, Spark SQL, I can directly take you through the some kind of creating a data frame, adding a column, removing the column, drop. Directly I can show that. So I really don't need to spend this much amount of time. Okay, that's the idea. Let's see. Tomorrow we will connect again. Tomorrow we'll discuss about broadcast and accumulators, the most frequently asking interview questions. Broadcast and accumulators also. We'll discuss in detail in the next session. Any doubts? Any questions? Okay.
So
If no
for
questions,
checkpoint, also we
yeah, go
use
ahead, ma. Sorry, please go ahead, ma.
for checkpoint also we use unpersist.
For checkpoint and persist, at this point of time, I'm not very much sure. I don't think we will use unpersist for the checkpoint.
Okay. Then how to clear the memory? Like what the storage?
That is the disk storage, right? I'll check that and come back on this one because I'm not really sure. I have so we avoid using checkpoint. We will not use the checkpointing. So we'll use only cache and persist. I will check that also. I'll revert you on by
Okay.
next session.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Zip transformation we'll use when you want to append a unique value to every element. Let's say I want to append, I have a list A, right? I have RDD A. I'll just quickly finish this. It don't take much time. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, like this I have, right? When I want like one number need to be attached to every element, you can go with another RDD and attach it. Or there is something called zip with index. Zip with index. Now you can simply say RDDA dot zip with the index. Here, you really don't need to specify anything. Dot collect to do. Look at here A02132. It has appended with index. This is index. Till 100, it will go 99. 100 comma 99. Because it started with the 0. Started with the 0. Okay. So try this one. When you want to append with an unique ID, you can also do that. You can also do that. There is some transformation here. Zip with unique ID. Zip with unique ID. It is randomly stored. It's not index. It's randomly. Every element has its unique ID. Okay. So that's it for zip and zip with index, this stuff. So tomorrow we'll discuss more important concepts, broadcast and accumulators, and we'll move into the next session. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. Else we can leave for the day. Any questions? Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thanks a lot.